Hello, 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 and welcome to Cabin Fever Radio Novellas, where an isolated group of talented actors and creators come together to stave off their madness and yours and keep us all entertained through dramatic reading of your favorite movies and TV shows, along with original materials. This episode is sponsored by Ruano Films, but we'll hear more about them later in the show. I am your host for the evening, Mr. David Ruano, and in today's episode, we are joined by a lovely cast of characters. Starting off, Robert Christopher Smith, who will be reading the script actions as well as Billy and Riley. Mariah Hart, who will be reading Thelma. David Coker, who will be reading Hollis. Jessica M. Legre, who will be reading Aunt Amy. Jess Burnell, who will be reading Mrs. Fremont. Troy Medley, who will be reading Mr. Fremont. Marissa Martin, who will be reading Lucy. And I will be reading Rob Serling as well as Ethel. And this episode, we are reading something that is, again, very special to us. It is The Twilight Zone. The episode entitled It's a Good Life, written by Rod Serling. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Unbelievable.
Are you guys ready to go?
Let's do it.
Anybody
Yes.
nervous?
Less and less each week.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. So we'll go right into it. This is Cabin Fever Radio Novellas, The Twilight Zone, episode entitled It's a Good Life by Rod Serling, Act 1.
We swirl and careen madly through space. Objects of impossible geometry pop into and out of existence in a vortex thick with stars, all around us with equally maddening speed.
You're traveling to another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
We fall through darkness like that helpless, hopeless feeling in every nightmare we've ever shared, but suddenly find ourselves standing in a room in front of a very normal-looking man, standing casually near a map. It's our narrator, Rod Serling.
Tonight's story on the Twilight Zone is somewhat unique, and it calls for a different kind of introduction.
Mr. Serling begins to point and draw our attention to the aforementioned map.
When you look at any map of the United States like this, you will see Ohio, and in Ohio, you will find the town of Peaksville. On a quiet morning not too long ago, the rest of the world disappeared, and Peaksville was left all alone. Its inhabitants were never sure if the world was destroyed, and only Peaksville left untouched, or whether the village had somehow been taken away. They were, on the other hand, sure of one thing: the cause. A monster had arrived in the village.
We leave Mr. Serling in his office and fade to a panoramic shot of Ohio countryside, then into a small village, then fading in again, moving down a country road past broken down cars and trucks and old barns until we reach the front porch of the Fremont house.
Just by using its mind, the monster took away the automobiles, the electricity, the machines, all simply because they displeased the monster. And in doing so, it moved the entire community back into the Dark Ages, all just by using its mind.
Close-up of Rod Serling, and then cut away to each character.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to some of the people who live in Peaksville, Ohio. This is Mr. Fremont. The monster lives in his farmhouse. This is Mrs. Fremont. And this is Aunt Amy, who probably had the most control of the monster in the beginning than almost anyone. But one day she forgot. She began to sing aloud. Now, the monster does not like singing, so its mind snapped at her and turned her into the smiling, vacant, just empty thing here we see us today. She sings no more. And, you'll note, the people in Pixpeel have to smile. They have to think happy thoughts and say happy things. Because once displeased, the monster might just wish them into a cornfield forever, or change them into a grotesque, walking horror. This particular monster can read minds, you see. She knows everything. She can feel every emotion. Oh yes. I did forget something, didn't I? I forgot to introduce you to the monster.
Cut 2. Playing on a white fence near a barn, we see a very young little girl.
This is the monster. Her name is Lucy Fremont. She is 6 years old. She got a cute little girl face and blue eyes that would never lie. But when those eyes look at you, you'd better start thinking happy thoughts. Because the mind behind those eyes is absolutely in charge. And this is the Twilight Zone.
Fade in. Down the road leading to the Fremont's farmhouse, we see a bicycle pedaled by Bill Soames, approaching with a big basket strapped in front, carrying groceries. At this moment, an old woman, the vacant and barely there Aunt Amy comes out onto the front porch and sits down, rocking herself slowly back and forth, fanning herself with an old, dilapidated fan. The little girl Lucy sits a few feet away on the steps playing quietly. Bill Soames pedals up to the front porch and gets off his bike. He forces a smile that is grotesque in every aspect as he walks over toward the little girl. As he speaks, we see a nightmarish fear in his face that is beyond description. Howdy, Lucy. Mighty good to see you today. Mighty good. And it's such a good day. A real good day, isn't it, Lucy? Aunt May just stares at nothing with lusterless, nearly insane eyes as he speaks. We cut to a close shot of the little girl. The first close shot we've had of Lucy. On the surface, it's a little girl's face, smudged with dirt, bright eyed, not unattractive. But looking deeper, we see that it is not really a normal face at all. Perhaps it's in the eyes, or in the look, or whatever it is, and the eyes tell that this is a monster. She looks up at Bill Soames and nods. We pan over to Aunt Amy as she slowly turns her vacant eyes over and tries to focus on Soames.
It's a terrible hot day, though. It's a terrible hot day.
We cut to a close-up shot of Bill, who looks at her in agony. Oh, I wouldn't say that, Aunt Amy. No, sir. I wouldn't say that at all. It's fine. It's just fine. It's a real good day. Bill looks at Lucy nervously with a sideways glance. Different angle of him as he carries the groceries up the steps, stops, looks off at something a few feet away, cringes, shakes, turns his head away in revulsion, looking ill. What you doing, Lucy? My, that's real good. Whatever it is, I was just wondering what you were doing. We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy as she has a smile on her young lips, but not in those eyes. The eyes burn through Bill Soames.
I made a gopher with 3 heads. See him?
Angle shot up towards Bill's face. His eyes look glazed, horrified. Yeah, he's a real fine one. I ain't never seen a gopher with 3 heads before. We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy smiling with a sick kind of glee.
I'll make him dead now. I'm tired of playing with him. Be dead. Gopher, you be dead.
We cut to a close-up shot of Bill's horrified face. Now that's real fine, Lucy. That's real fine what you done. You made him dead. That's good that you done that. That's real good. Aunt Amy rises and looks over the railing and makes a sour face.
Ain't he an ugly thing though? Ain't he? Ain't he grotesque looking? You better bury him, Lucy.
I'll wish him into the cornfield. Go into the cornfield. Go! Be in the cornfield!
We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy as she turns back towards Bill. The monster she had created has completely vanished. Only a stain remains as a reminder.
You don't want me to wish you dead, do you?
Why no, Lucy. No, I don't. But you do some real fine things. Real fine. You're a good girl, Lucy. We all love you, don't we? Don't we, Aunt Amy? Don't we love Lucy? We sure do love her. But we love that girl. The camera moves in tight on his face as tears appear in his eyes. And in just one brief passing moment, a sob tears itself away from his throat. He whirls around and carries a bag of groceries into the house. The camera stops a slow pan away from the old woman, down to where Lucy sits and stares out across their yard at the field. Lucy's mother is, we go inside the farm kitchen of the Fremont house. Lucy's mother's just checking a roast in the oven as Bill Soames brings in the grocery bag.
Howdy, Bill. Got everything?
Pretty much, Mrs. Fremont. Didn't have any more laundry soap, though. All out of laundry soap.
Well, that's to be expected. Not even the bar soap, though? All out of that, too?
Oh, we've been out of that for a year. You know that, Mrs. Fremont. We ain't had no bar soap for over a year, but I got a couple of cans of soup in there. Didn't even know we had them left. And Lucy loves tomato soup, don't you? So I brought that. You'll tell her, won't you, Mrs. Fremont? Tell her I brought her the soup because I heard she liked it. Tell her I brought it, won't you?
Why, of course. I will, Bill. I'll tell her. Matter of fact, I'll tell her right now.
No, Mrs. Fremont. You don't have to go to that trouble now. I gotta get going. I gotta get back to the store. We cut to a close-up shot of Mrs. Fremont. She reaches out and touches Bill on the arm to comfort and reassure him.
You don't have to be frightened of her, Bill. She likes you. She's told me that several times. How much she liked you.
That's real nice to hear. She's a clever girl, Mrs. Fremont. You know what she was doing out there?
Making something, I imagine. Yesterday, she made some kind of furry animal. I never did see the likes of it. But she invented it all by herself. Had real sharp teeth, too. Tried to bite her. Lucy wished it into the cornfield. I was kind of hoping for that.
There's silence for a moment. The two simply stare at each other and spoke in shared fear. I got to be going, Mrs. Fremont, but I'm real glad. I mean, it's real fine that Lucy keeps making these things. Real fine indeed. Yes, ma'am, it's real fine. He almost
See you tonight. See you tonight. Won't we, Bill?
Tonight?
Why, sure. It's television night tonight. Lucy's gonna put on a real nice movie on the television. And we're gonna have the surprise party for Dan Hollis. A real nice surprise party.
I'll be here, Mrs. Fremont. I'll certainly be here. He turns quickly and abruptly starts out. Exterior of the home. As Bill comes out onto the porch, he nods at Aunt Amy. He looks hurriedly around for a sight of Lucy, then walks off stiff-legged over to his bicycle, again looks around, jumps on the bike, and pedals furiously away. We cut to a shot of the porch as Mrs. Fremont comes out.
Where's Lucy?
Think she went into the barn. I kept telling her she didn't go in there, but...
A close-up shot as Mrs. Fremont's face turns grim. She stares at Aunt Amy with pleading eyes before continuing in a totally different tone.
Why, it's a real good thing that Lucy goes into the barn. A real good thing.
But Agnes, she ain't even around now. You don't have to keep saying that.
But even so, Amy, even so, it's nice that she goes into the barn. It's real nice. We mustn't think anything bad about her, Amy.
But she isn't even around.
Amy, dear, you know as well as I do. Sometimes she can hear what we're thinking no matter where she is. So you just think real nice things, Amy. Real nice things about how good it is that Lucy's going into the barn. And tonight we'll have Dan Hollis's birthday party, and we'll watch that nice movie that Lucy shows on the screen for us. And we'll just have a delightful time, all of us. Just a real nice, delightful time.
The camera pans over for a closer shot of Aunt Amy, who looks up at the hot summer sky.
But it's such a hot day. I hope it cools off tonight.
Mrs. Fremont sees Lucy leaving the barn, walking toward them quickly, watching closely as she approaches. Sweat rolls down the face of Mrs. Fremont.
So, I wouldn't say that it was hot, but Amy, it's just right. It's a real good day. A real good day.
We dissolve to an interior shot of the Fremont home. In the bedroom, it's night now. Mr. Fremont is washing his face out of a big pitcher and bowl that sits on the dresser. He reaches for a towel, dries himself off, then suddenly freezes. Turns very slowly to see Lucy staring at him, and once again on his face appears the manufactured smile that is standard for all the inhabitants of this weird place.
Well, howdy, honey. I was looking for you a bit ago. Your mama said you was out in the barn.
I was looking at the cow.
Oh, that's good. That's real good, Lucy, that you were looking at the cow. Now, you wasn't playing any tricks on your old dad, were you? I mean, well, you remember a year ago when we had those pigs?
I turned them into monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, I doggone if you didn't. Real funny looking things. But good things, Lucy, good. Real good things. And it's good that you did that. Real good. Real good.
Television night tonight. I'm going to make television for everybody.
Sure are. Everybody's looking forward to it, too. Just like they do every week when you make television. We're going to have a surprise birthday party. Dan Hollis, too.
We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy as she looks around the room. We cut to a shot of Lucy and Mr. Fremont together. Mr. Fremont half closes his eyes in anguished expectation of what new horror can be wrought here. Then, breathing heavily and with the same gargoyle smile.
Well, you looking for something, Lucy? Can I help?
No kids came over to play with me. Not today. Not a single one. And I wanted someone to play with.
Mr. Fremont turns toward the mirror, an angle shot on Lucy's reflection in the mirror along with her father.
Well, Lucy, you remember the last time when those children came over? That little Frederick's boy and his sister?
I had a real good time.
Oh, sure you did. Sure you did. And you had a real good time. And it's good that you had a good time. It's real good. It's just that.
It's just that what?
It's just that you whisked them into the cornfield. But their mommy and daddy, they were real upset.
About what?
Wait. I didn't mean upset. It was a real good that you whisked him into the cornfield. Real good. And everybody was glad, but if you wash people away like that, there won't be anybody left. And, they've maybe next week, Lucy, we'll talk about it with some folks about having the children come over. Uh, maybe next week, and we'll see what we can do.
Lucy nods stoically. Her face is a mask.
And you can make some of those funny animals, that you like to make, and it's fun, isn't it? It's a lot of fun.
Again, Lucy nods. There's the sound of a dog barking from outside. Close shot as Lucy looks off, listening to the dog bark.
That's Bill Soames' collie. That's that dog that comes around.
Yeah, that does sound like Bill Soames' dog. Not many dogs left now, Lucy. We wish them all away.
I don't like them. They didn't like me. I hate anybody like that. I hate anybody who doesn't like me.
Why, everybody likes you, Lucy. They love you, honey. You're their favorite.
I heard somebody think one time, I don't remember when, but sometime, that I shouldn't have wished away all the automobiles and things and the electricity. They said that it wasn't good that I did that. Somebody thought that one time. Who thought that?
Well, that was Teddy Reynolds who thought that. He owned the farm up the road. Why, it's real good that you can remember that far back, Lucy. Real good.
Yes, and I remember what I did to him too. I made him go on fire and he ran through his field screaming for the longest time. Yes, I remember that.
She smiles happily, and then the smile fades.
He shouldn't have had those thoughts. That's why I did that to him.
Again, the dog barks from outside. The camera moves in for an extremely close shot of Lucy, who turns and walks over to the window.
That dog, that collie dog, he doesn't like me. He's a bad dog.
Well, now, Lucy, did you do something to Bill Soames' dog? Did you?
As his eyes traverse the yard outside, he suddenly stops, closes them, and almost shakes. Then his lips tremble and he tries to form words, and finally, words do come out.
Hey, why, isn't that a good thing that you done, Lucy? A real good thing. But it'd be another good thing if you wish what was left of him into the cornfield. It's a good thing what you did to him. But
The camera moves over to Lucy, who nods, concentrates, and then looks back at her father.
I put him in the cornfield. He isn't outside anymore.
A different angle on Lucy as she turns and walks across the room and out. Pan back over for a medium close shot of Mr. Fremont as he stands at the window, his head down, fingers clenching and unclenching. Footsteps approach and Mrs. Fremont enters the room. Close-up shot of Mrs. Fremont. Her face is white and stricken.
Bill Soames' collie was out in the yard. I heard him barking and then he screamed. I didn't see it happen, but Amy said it looked like somebody had taken a torch in it, and...
She stops abruptly and looks down at the floor. The two stand staring.
why, Lucy done that. It was a real good thing that Lucy done it. Wasn't it, honey? Wasn't it a real good thing?
Oh, yes, indeed. It was a real good thing that Lucy done that. Well, I've got to get back and get supper ready. Ethel's bringing over a cake for Dan. She found the last box of cane sugar that there was to be found. The very last box. And Dan hasn't got one single inkling that there's a surprise party for him. Not one.
That's good. That's real good.
And you know how much Dan likes music. Well, last week, Thelma found a record in her attic.
That a fact?
Yes. And she's going to give it to him tonight. Isn't that a wonderful surprise?
Well, now it sure is a record. Imagine. That's a real nice thing to find. What record is it?
Harry Como singing You Are My Sunshine.
Doggone it! I always liked that tune. How did Thelma happen to find it?
Oh, you know, just looking around for new things.
Say, what was that picture we found a while back? I kind of liked it. That old clipper sailing around along the.
The Smiths. Next week, the Sapichis get it, and they gave the Smiths old McIntyre's old music box, and we give the Sapichis.
Her voice fades off as the camera moves over to Mr. Fremont, who turns and looks out the window. We hear his voice.
That's the way things are now. There's so little left. Everybody keeps a few things for a while, and they trade it off. There's about what? 3 books left, and each family can keep for a week and trade it for something else, like with the stereo system. The Van Heusen's found in their cellar, or that can of beer that Bill Soames found wedged into the old icebox lying in the junkyard. See, the thing of it is, Lucy, she fixed it so we're kind of all alone in this world. Nothing new ever gets built anymore. Nothing new at all.
Suddenly Lucy enters. He stares across the room. She stares across the room at her father. Mrs. Fremont's face grows pale.
But it's good. It's good. It's good that it turned out this way. It's real good. That's what it is. It's real good. It's real good.
But we fade to black at the end of Act 1. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
So far, that's been really good reading for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely a very eerie script that we picked this week.
Yeah.
That's Creepsville, man. Could you imagine if we had politicians out there who simply craved everyone's affection, whether or not they were doing a good job, that all they demanded was fealty and love, and
like Obama? I'm just joking. No, I'm thinking.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is I don't want to point fingers at Donald Trump or any leaders today. I'm just saying. Can you imagine? If that were to happen? If there were people that were out there committing atrocities, and demanding to be loved, it would never happen.
Yeah,
not in this world.
But it does go back to kind of like what we've been discussing before, where it's like things like this have happened throughout the years, and it only gets worse over time, because this being just an idea of something that happened, now it's happening. What can be the next step? But other than that, it's definitely a script that makes you think. I can only imagine what was going on when they wrote the script.
No doubt. This was like 60 years ago. Yeah, it's a heavy subject today.
What inspiration that they had back in their time.
This was during the Bay of Pigs. I think it's 1961 ish. First script we had. Kennedy was in office, I think. This was 61, April 61.
I believe so. Yeah.
Right after the Bay of Pigs. Yep.
So, like, it's crazy how history tends to repeat itself for sure. Sometimes it's not very good for history to repeat itself, but it does. And on that note, on history itself, I do want to give a quick little shout out to our sponsor. So if you bear with me just a little bit, let's see. Let me just get all this thing. Here we go. Our sponsor for this episode is Ruano Films. Have you ever had an idea for a movie or TV show but don't know where to start? It can be very daunting when you start to realize all the manpower you'll need. From a director, camera op, first AC, sound, boom up, line producer, G&E, editor, colorist, etc., etc. Don't even mention someone to handle the budget and schedule the project. But no need to fear, Rono Films this year. Rono Films is a production company that works hand in hand with indie filmmakers, writers, actors, and creators, and can handle all the logistics to produce a film and turn your idea into reality. So if you're ready to make that movie idea you can't stop thinking about, contact Rono Films for a free consultation by mentioning Cabin Fever Radio via their contact page at ronofilms.com. That is RUANOFILMS.com. Don't forget to mention Cabin Fever Radio. They will help you get the ball rolling and make that movie. That is the ad read for today's sponsor.
Hey, dude, I was watching that on our feed and it looked great, by the way.
Hey. Thank you, Rono Films, for that. And again, it is one of those things where I just wanted to do it so we get used to having sponsors for the near future. But yeah, so that being out of the way, shall we continue?
Let's continue.
You guys ready for what's gonna happen in the Fremont family?
I wished him into the cornfield.
I feel like eating, some corn right now, like a little bit of mayonnaise and salt, some chili on top. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a Mexican thing.
Yeah, it's a street thing.
It's yeah.
You either know or you don't.
No, not one of those.
No, you never will.
Soon, whenever we get back together. Yeah, we'll. I'll make us some for sure.
I'm not eating mayonnaise. Just...
Brought to a street near you.
You don't have to put mayonnaise. It's just
butter, sour cream.
Yeah, butter, sour.
Like sour cream.
Yes.
I'm a really picky eater, guys. I'm so sorry.
Okay. You like onion?
Yeah, I like onions.
On the corn. Put onions on the corn.
But only like chopped and like sauteed. I'm not gonna eat like an onion on a burger or anything.
It's popular in the Netherlands is French fries with mayonnaise on it.
That's disgusting.
That's like their go-to thing. I was like, what is that?
I would knock that right out of somebody's hand if I saw it.
Yeah.
It's big there. It's like you go to one of their food places and you're like, you just order that and they come out and they're like, yeah, and they have onions on it too.
Like I'm OCD. I would get sick watching somebody eat that. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see what they're eating at the party.
Fremont home.
At the Fremont home. So this will be Act 2 of The Twilight Zone. It's a Good Life.
The interior of the Fremont living room. There are 6 couples sitting around, staring at the television. Oh, excuse me. Staring at the television set. The camera pans across the faces of these people. Each wears a fixed, forced smile, and at intervals they applaud, as if by direction. But it's as if they were all robots, with someone pushing a button, someone directing them. The camera continues to pan over toward the television set. Hunched over the floor is Lucy, sitting directly in front of it, and obviously manipulating it on the screen are grotesque color patterns, weird, formless lines and shadows. On occasions, a passing face that is only partially humanoid appears, and at intervals there is the sound of some kind of strange, discordant music, which Lucy also projects. The camera now pulls back, showing Dan Hollis and his wife Ethel. They sit close together, holding hands tightly piled alongside. Hollis saw his collection of gifts, pitiful fragments of another time that everybody collected for this special occasion. A nondescript wooden carved box, a half a bottle of peach brandy, etc. At this moment, Lucy jumps up. The television screen goes black. The entire room applauds.
That's all the television there is.
Oh, it was wonderful, Lucy. Wasn't it wonderful, everyone? Wasn't Lucy's television wonderful?
That's one.
Yeah, sure. It was great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was much better than the old television.
The chorus of voices goes up again as sent with fragments. Yeah, sure. Great.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Definitely.
Wow, good stuff.
That's it.
And now the big surprise for Dan's birthday. Go ahead, Ethel. Give your hubby the big surprise.
Ethel goes over to a spot behind the sofa and takes a circular wrapped package. She hands it to Hollis. He looks at it grinning.
What's this? Why, I haven't heard Perry Como in years. And years.
His wife hugs him. They embrace briefly, but as if it could be the last time.
Happy birthday.
darling. Happy birthday.
Hey, you better be careful. I'm holding a priceless object. Look, do you think we could play it? Gosh, what I'd give to hear some new music. Just the first part, the orchestra part before Como sings.
There's a sober silence as everyone stares at him and then looks away.
I don't think we better, Dan. After all, we don't know just where the singer comes in, and it would be taking too much of a chance. Better wait till you get home.
Different angles on Hollis as he reluctantly puts the record down on the table.
It's good that I can't play it here.
Now I think it's time for Pat Riley to play some piano for us. How about it, Pat?
My pleasure. He walks over to the piano, sits down, starts to play. Suddenly, conscious that Lucy is standing close to him, watching him. Close shot of his fingers on the keys, and we pan up to an angle shot of his face as the features twist. He forces a smile and hits a flat note, and then he whirls around hurriedly to Lucy. It would be good if you told me what to play, Lucy. It would be real good if you tell me what music you like.
Just play anything.
All right. I'll play. I'll play Night and Day. That's a nice old tune. The people converge around the piano. There's the chorus of voices. Yeah, that's a good tune.
Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah,
Always love that
tune.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. Amazing.
definitely.
Shot. Moving to a full shot of the room as Riley continues to play. The camera pans over for a shot of Dan Hollis, who's drinking the brandy in long, thirsty gulps. Every now and then he looks over at the record that he's placed on the table, and once he reaches over to touch it in almost a caress. We have a close shot of Mrs. Fremont watching Hollis. A close shot of Ethel, his wife, as she too, with fingers in her mouth, watching her husband drink, nervous. Close shot, Hollis, as once again he puts the bottle down to his mouth, takes another long swig, and then puts the bottle down. And in doing so, it sets a cup. The noise of it is shattering intrusion on the music, and all eyes turn toward him. The last face to turn in his direction is that of Lucy. Lucy, who surveys them, staring coldly.
Don't make any noise when the music is playing. I don't like noise when the music is playing.
In a close shot of Hollis as he blinks back the enveloping pressure of the alcohol, tosses a salute, smiles, and reaches down for the bottle again. A close shot of Mr. Fremont, who slowly turns back toward the piano, but in doing so, throws a look at Lucy, and then over to his wife, who stands there, hands clenched together in front of her, as Riley continues to play. A close shot of Hollis as he continues to take another drink, giggling a little bit, and then look down at his wife, who has crossed over to stand close to him, but her face is a mask of fear.
Dan, please.
Please what? I'm not doing anything. I'm just drinking this peach brandy. I'm just drinking one of my birthday presents. That's all I'm doing.
There's a rustle and a murmur in the room as eyes move from Hollis to Lucy. Eyes that betray the cold, clammy nightmare that folds all of them. Ethel grabs the front of Hollis's coat.
Please, Dan. For the love of heaven, please. Don't say anything.
Who's saying anything? I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything at all.
Everyone stands silently staring. Mr. Fremont, who touches Pat Riley's arm.
Go ahead, Pat. Play. Keep playing.
Hollis moves away from his wife and carries the bottle to the center of the room. He looks over toward the piano.
This is real good brandy. Real good. Do you people know something? There's only 5 bottles for real whiskey left in this whole village. Only 5 bottles. 1 rye, 2 scotch, 1 after dinner liquor, and this here. And when all that's gone, now there won't be any left. None at all. No whiskey at all.
Hollis stumbles as he turns and goes back over to the table where the record is. He picks it up and he stares at it.
Nuts. Nuts. Can't even play my record. Can't play Perry Como.
He suddenly takes the nearly empty bottle and throws it across the room, where it smashes against the wall. A series of close-ups of the people in the room reflects the personal horror experienced by each. Hollis walks over to Pat Riley at the piano and puts his hand on Pat's shoulder.
Don't play that, Pat. That's not what I want you to play. Play this. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
Dan!
A moving shot with her. As she runs over to Dan, she grabs his arm. She screams again.
Dan, stop!
A close shot of Thelma, who half whispers, half shouts.
Quiet. Oh, please. Ethel, be quiet.
A different angle of the room as 2 of them grab Ethel and pull her away. Mr. Fremont covers her mouth with his hand. A close shot on Hollis as he continues to shout and sing.
Happy birthday, dear Danny. Happy birthday to me. Play it, Pat. Play it so I can sing it right. You know I can't carry a tune unless somebody plays it.
An angle shot looking up at Pat Riley, his face sweaty and white, his hands shaking on the keys as he starts to play something like Lover in a slow waltz tempo, but his hands fumbling so badly over the keys that every other note his fist is flat and wrong. Hollis turns very slowly away from the piano bench. He stares across the room at Mr. and Mrs. Fremont, who stand close by. He suddenly whirls around and slams his own hand on the keyboard, stopping all sound in one burst of discordant chord. Then he straightens up and looks towards the Fremonts.
You and her. You had him. You had to go have him. Then he suddenly throws... You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when I am blue.
His wife Ethel struggles in the embrace of the 2 men who hold her. Hollis stops singing. He looks down at the floor, then looks up. A very slow pan over to the other end of the room, where Lucy stands there watching him, her cold eyes surveying him, the little face an expressionless mask.
You monster. You dirty little monster. You murderer. You go ahead, Lucy. You think about me. You think bad thoughts about me. And maybe some man in this room, some man with guts, somebody who's so sick to death of living this kind of place and is willing to take a chance, will sneak up behind you and lay something across your skull and end this once and for all.
We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy. Her eyes widen. She points at Hollis accusingly.
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man.
Hollis stands there, half swaying with alcohol, and points back at the little girl.
You think that, Lucy. You go ahead. I'm a very bad man. Keep thinking that.
He stumbles around, looking at the crowd of helpless adults.
Somebody get behind her. Somebody end this now. While she's thinking about me, why doesn't somebody take a lamp or a bottle or something and...
We cut to a close-up shot of Lucy as she slowly raises her arm. She points again at Hollis.
You're a very bad man, and you keep thinking bad thoughts about me.
Closer, tighter angle on Lucy as her eyes suddenly burn bright and fierce. We cut to several extremely tight, close shots of the faces of the people as their eyes widen. The women scream, "Ah!" The men turn their heads away. The last close-up is that of Ethel, who suddenly breaks away from the two men holding her, and lets that one long, last shriek. We cut again now to the shadow of what Hollis has become. We see it playing on the wall. It's a man-sized Jack-in-the-Box with Dan Hollis's head bobbing around wildly atop of a huge spring. Mr. Fremont takes a step towards his young daughter.
Lucy, push it away. Wish into the cornfield, please. Please, baby. Wish into the cornfield.
We get a close shot on Lucy, who nods without emotion. She looks down, concentrating. We cut to the shadow on the wall as it disappears. In its aftermath, there is absolute dead silence and a close shot on Lucy. No one moves.
He was a bad man, so I turned him into a jack-in-the-box. A jack-in-the-box that still had his bad face.
Lucy turns towards Ethel, who looks at her with an expression that cannot be described. It's equal measures horror, fear, and burgeoning hate.
And you mustn't think bad thoughts either, or I'll do the same thing to you.
She slowly turns towards Pat Riley, who sits at the piano motionless and petrified. She nods to him.
Play some more music.
It's a good thing that you did that to Dan. It's a very good thing.
Pat Riley once again begins to play Night and Day on the piano. Tears are rolling down his face. Oh yes, it was swell. Just swell. A real good thing. Different angle of Lucy as she climbs up on top of the piano and sits there quietly with her hands in her lap. We have a close shot of Aunt Amy, who sighs, looking at the piano and then the television set.
I kind of liked it a little bit better when there were cities outside and we could get real television and things like that.
Why, Amy, it's good for you to say such a thing. Very good, but how can you mean it? Why, Lucy's television is much better than anything we ever used to get.
Oh, yes. It's fine. Lucy's are the best shows we've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah, they're good. I think they're smoking hot. Yo. Again, the chorus of assent, hopeful voices in total agreement and gargoyle smiles. The camera pans over to the window, where suddenly we begin to see heavy drops of snow.
It's snowing outside, Lucy. Are you making it snow?
Yes, I'm making it snow.
We get a close shot of Mr. Fremont, who strains to maintain the forced smile upon her face.
That'll kill off half the crowd. That's what it'll do, Lucy. But it's good. It's good you're making it snow. It's real good. And tomorrow will be a good day.
We get a close shot. Lucy again on the piano as she looks down at Pat Riley playing. The camera starts to pull away from the piano across the room toward the window.
No comment here. No comment at all. We only wanted to introduce you to one of our very special citizens, little Lucy Fremont, age 6, who lives in a village called Peaksville, in a place that used to be Ohio. And if by some strange chance you should run across this little girl, you had best think only good thoughts. Anything less than that is handle at your own risk. Because if you do meet Lucy, you can be sure of one thing. You have entered the Twilight Zone.
Man, like quality-wise, that was really, really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I think I hit one of your lines. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I know I said Mister, and then it was missing, and I was like,
Yeah, it was sure. Okay.
I thought.
I was actually happy that, again, this is what I was asking you guys about yesterday about not can you do a good accent, but can you hold it consistently? I wasn't exactly consistent, but I did manage to never break the entire time, so I felt good about that.
Yeah.
I've never tried that.
I didn't get the memo that everybody was doing the country.
Oh.
No, that was just spontaneous.
Everybody was doing it. I was like,
Ohio doesn't really have country, but I thought, well, these people migrated from the South. That was my justification.
Yeah. Yeah, Ohio likes to think of itself as the beginning of the North, for sure.
Yeah, they do.
I adopted later. I was like talking normal, and then I was like, "Oh, we're in the country now."
I was gonna do that, but then I was like, nah, fuck it. I'll just.
I just decided before I read today. I decided that the action reader was British. That the Bill Soames was that old school TV voice. You know, that's really good, Mr. Riley. You know.
Yeah.
And that
I like that.
to differentiate that I would go Southern on Pat Riley instead. That's how I got there.
Yeah,
It's trying to keep them distinct.
It's definitely one of those things that we should be practicing different accents just in general. But again, this one, because we have only one character per cast member, a few that are two, but I was watching not so long ago, like behind the scenes on Futurama and Rick and Morty and how they do voice acting, and most of the characters there, like there's one actor that does 43 different characters.
Damn.
You know,
That's insane.
and there's I think there's about 6 or 8 total actors, voice actors, and each one has an average of over 40 characters that they play.
That's crazy.
How do you mentally keep a file of that?
That's exactly what I was just thinking, Troy.
Well, that's the art.
Yeah, not that I can't do it, but how do you and be able to just flip back and forth and stuff. It's got to.
I watched something last night about the Phil Hartman murder when his wife shot him and then killed herself, and they said on The Simpsons that his role as Troy McClure was so iconic that they never brought that character back. And
Oh, no way. No way.
And it was so funny because I always like, maybe because my name is Troy, but I always like the
Troy McClure.
Troy McClure. Yeah, Troy McClure.
I'm Troy McClure.
I always liked it, and actually, it's so funny because I saw him like 4 months before he died. They shot somewhere near Gower, or it was either Gower or Paramount. I was in that area, and walking past, I think I was walking past the gate. No, I was doing extra work. And I came out, and Phil Hartman came out in like a convertible coupe, something. And I waved at him. I was like, "Hey!" And he's like, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" I was like, "Oh, that's," and then that happened. But anyway, we're talking voiceovers. That's why I brought it up, because that was a good voice.
That was a devastating moment. Sometimes I wonder what he would be up to today. I'm sure he would be like a top level actor if he was still alive today.
Yeah, he would have. But voices, but I really have a great appreciation for the voices he used to do. You know, anybody that does voiceovers, it's no joke. It's just the real thing.
Yeah. And I've been just trying to do as much research as I can, just so we can have the technology to be able to do it. And again, once we get into reading a feature film or something like that, we will have about 2 or 3, if not 4 or 5 different characters, if we continue doing it. Because in a feature film, there's a lot of characters. Unless it's like Castaway, names. Then it's just like one person or whatever.
Yeah, you got to deal with all those like B characters and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, and as far as for the audience, just letting you guys know, next week or today is the final season for season 1 of Cabin Fever Radio Novellas, and
6 episodes.
6 episodes, and it flew real quick. I can't believe we're at episode 6 already. So next week we are gonna have a pilot episode streaming at this time frame, and we are gonna be bringing back season 2 in about 2 weeks. So be sure to follow us on social media at cabinfeverradio.com. On Instagram, it is Cabin Fever Radio Novellas all together. All the links are in the description. And again, I want to thank everyone of the cast members here today and every one of the cast members in the previous episodes. And if you want more information on how to support Cabin Fever Radio, you can go to patreon.com/cabinfeverradio to get exclusive content like our post show that we are getting ready to do as soon as we end this stream. That is patreon.com/cabinfeverradio. As well as be sure to go to cabinfeverradio.com for the lineup of the different shows that are coming up, as well as seeing our past episodes. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And again, I want to thank our sponsor for today, Ruano Films, for making this show happen, as well as every single one of you individually. I wish I could give everybody a hug, but unfortunately, I am surrounded by computers, not by you guys.
And so, David, just to confirm, you were saying next week we're going to be right back here, same time, same channel, but it won't be Cabin Fever Novellas. We're going to do a new show.
Yes.
But Cabin Fever Novellas will actually be back the week after that. That's what you were saying?
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, because we are trying to expand a little bit as far as different shows. And if you go to cabinfeverradio.com, you will see a list of different shows that we have during the week. For example, Bobby has a Wednesday show on our Facebook page. So you could check it out on our Facebook page at Cabin Fever Radio. It's on Wednesday at 3 p.m., correct?
Mm-hmm. Comic Book Corner. That's where I review comic books and kind of give people long runs of stuff to read while they're in quarantine. Instead of like a single issue. On the first episode, I talked about the last 12 issues of a comic book called Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. So.
Yes. Yeah, so please check that out. And again, we are trying to make this a little bit smoother in the long run. I know we did have a couple little lag spikes and stuff like that, but we're working on it. We're getting better every week, and we are hoping to continue this production company-esque thing, broadcast radio station almost, into the future. And once we get the bans lifted so we can actually meet up, it will be even better, because we're all going to be reading all live in person with better camera, better equipment, just less lag, and in person too, which makes it even better. So yeah, so again, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is cabinfeverradio.com.
Saturdays, live at 5.
Live at 5. Signing off. Yay!